Hello everyone, my name is Summer, and welcome back for more Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. This video, we are going to be covering the extra mode of the game. Before I get too deep into that, I just want to give a brief little mention here that I will be showing all of the challenge mode stages again in the corners you see here. These are going to be at super speed. I'm not drawing attention to these, but the stages themselves are slightly different, and I just wanted to draw the attention to that, yeah. So what does extra mode entail besides slightly revised challenge stages? Well, for one thing, the biggest obvious change you'll notice is we have half our health bar. And that is by far the biggest challenge of extra mode. In fact, it's honestly a challenge just not only having half your health, but enemies also don't really drop health nearly as often, I find. The stars also have a small, like, hollow aesthetic. That's, as far as I know, just an aesthetic change, but yeah. And then the other minor change as well is some enemies are just bigger for some reason. They just kind of are. But yeah, besides the health, most of that is kind of just aesthetic. Some enemies might take a little bit harder to inhale, like see this big Waddle Dee here and this big sword guy. Yeah, this is going to be a very condensed version of extra mode. I'm going to be showing only really the highlights and the big changes here throughout this video, because there's not really a lot that changes throughout the game here. One of the big things that does change, though, are the subspace levels. Now, as far as I know, they're still the same levels, but you may remember this when I mentioned this in the Magalore epilogue. This wall is a lot more reddish, yellowish color. It is way faster in extra mode, so it's still rubber bands, but yeah, you don't quite get the same luxury that you would have had before. And also, the Sphere Doomers and really any boss fight is all changed. Most of the Sphere Doomers aren't really that bad still, but they do have different attacks. I think they have slightly more health and a slightly different design. Nothing too dramatic that you haven't seen before, but it is still a change anyway. Most of the boss fights I won't be covering in this video because, well, let's just say we'll be seeing them all very soon. Let's just put that very mildly. But with that, that is it for Mr. Doomer here. And on topic of other mini-bosses here, this is just a Geigen Edge EX here. All the bosses, the mini-bosses have an EX name in their name here. Nothing too dramatic about them, but it is something worth kind of mentioning, I suppose. This guy's not too bad, but he is definitely harder than a regular Geigen Edge anyway, so very minor change to point is, anytime you see these guys with the keys here, these guys are faster in extra mode as well. Just another way of making it a little bit harder. But yeah, that's kind of it as far as like the major changes go beyond like the boss fights and things like that. It's really just kind of the half health, and yeah, otherwise it's not too different from what we would have done in the main game here. And on topic of bosses being different, it's Wispy Woods, only he's purple this time. Wispy Woods EX here. This is just about the only normal EX boss I show in this video, but again, we'll be seeing them all here in the next video, wink wink, nudge nudge. And yeah, Wispy, like, all the EX bosses are definitely tougher. They have new attacks, they have, I think they have slightly more health and whatnot, but he's not too bad anyway. I just want to stay clear, hit him from a distance with certain attacks, and it shouldn't give you too much more trouble that, like, the regular Wispy already didn't, you know? He's not too bad, all things considered. And there he goes. Now, this is kind of the last thing from World 1 that I'm showing off here. The next thing we're cutting to is something new that I've alluded to after fighting Metal General. Because, yeah, there is, in fact, something new regarding this fight here. This fight is way tougher in extra mode. Not just the fact you have to fight Metal General or the fact I was taking things extra safe with the leaf ability, but yeah, I'm like one hit away from death here. That's a lot closer than I thought I was there, huh? Whenever Metal General is defeated, surprise! Extra mode has a secret boss. This is HRD3. I believe this song is different in this version compared to the original. I want to say in the original Wii version of this game, they used Landia's music for this. This is the Grandoomer song. I could just confirm that here. If it's not obvious by my health, I do not succeed this attempt here at all. This is a very hard fight on extra mode. For one, mainly because you have no health, but, like, yeah. You also just don't really get the best abilities for this one, I find. And he has a lot of attacks. He's very choreographed, but, yeah, he definitely does have a lot of attacks here. Shoot missiles. You'll want to attack him when he does his either his drill or his punch attack there. It's surprisingly fast how like quick that attack is, though. You don't really have a whole lot of time to dodge that. And yeah, I ended up getting just lasered by that. But yeah, this attempt, I end up using high jump for this one instead because high jump gets a lot of iframes, and it's surprisingly good for this fight, I find. I attempted this a couple of times, I think, with water, I believe, was the ability I used. If you notice, my life count is quite a bit lower, and yeah, there's kind of a reason for that. This fight is really, really rough. And that's not it. Worth noting, because I actually just looked this up on the Kirby wiki here, this song is actually not in the original at all. This was, in the original, this would have been the phase that uses Landia's music. This song is actually Roar of Dedede, though, from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which is kind of nice to hear show up here. I wish we would have gotten Meta Knight's theme in that game instead, but oh well, wouldn't have fit this boss anyway. This fight still, though, I mean, don't let your guard down. He is definitely a big boy. He hurts. He has a lot of strong attacks. He still has the same devastating laser and missile attacks. This fight's so cool looking. And I think I end up playing this really carefully here because I'm only one hit away from death at this point, so It's also just kind of awkward to know where his hitboxes, I find. Like, oh well. That's it for HRD3, though. My blood was definitely sweating by the end of this, because it's a hard fight. Having very little health and 2 phases, 3 if you count Metal General, technically has 2 phases as well. It's tough. It's a really tough fight. And cutting to a sped-up version of Another Dimension, you may notice this level is also quite different than the base game. I think this is one of the only real levels that's, like, actually changed design-wise, but yeah, they basically gave this a whole new level here. It's not, like, dissimilar from gameplay of how it was in the original, but yeah. That's kind of why I decided to speed this up here, just because it's fundamentally the same thing, but it is still a new level here, so that's why I kind of wanted to show it off here. It reminds me a little bit of that one Valley of Bowser level in Mario World with, like, the rising and lowering, like, walls, or, like, the rising and lowering, like, ceiling area. But, yeah. That's not the lore we helped to repair. Loriex and Magolor. This fight is obviously, like almost any other boss fight in this game, a lot tougher than normal, and I have very little health. Thankfully, if you die here, you do obviously respawn right at the boss, because I clearly bit it right there. Extra mode, generally, like, you still get, like, swarmed with lives, but as you see, my life count isn't quite as high as I had in the main game, where I was maxed out on lives. You still get a lot, and if you ever need lives, you get a lot from clearing the extra stages, which I did after the fact, but, I mean, all the extra stages I ended up just showing in, like, a sped-up condensed version in this video, because they're fundamentally still the same stages, they just have, like, different coin locations and things like that, so not really too different, but yeah. Or just has a lot of different unique attacks to use here, so keep that in mind. One of the very elusive health drops in this mode here. Like, I think I mentioned this before, but I've actually done a stream of extra mode, like, a long time ago. Like, this was, oh god, like 2012, I think. And as far as I know, I don't think the VOD of this, like, ever got archived or anything, because this was still kind of in the earlier days of Twitch. But yeah, I ended up doing a stream of this game back in those days, and it was me playing all of extra mode in one straight sitting, which I used to do that a lot when this game came out on the Wii. I don't know if I'd do that much nowadays or not, because it is, like, still a 7 to 8 hour game, but yeah, it was a fun game to play through when I played through this game back in those days. That was the last time I think I played extra mode, because, yeah. And it's a different cutscene. Magolor reveals himself to be different. God, this fight is awesome. This fight, this music, everything about it is just... Oh, it's such a good fight. 10 out of 10 final boss right here, man. Magolor is a little bit different. He fundamentally functions similarly, but, you know, his attacks are rather different, shall we say. Once again, he uses the black hole attack. I don't think this is very different. I think it might be slightly bigger, but it's not that different from how it normally is. Using his Kamehameha. God, I love how this attack looks in extra mode. Just like the blue and black and white coloration. Like, that is so sick looking. And when he gets to his super ability phase, this is where things start to get a little bit different. Because... check it out! Who wants ice cream? Magolor, I know you want ice cream. Come on, buddy. It's a little tricky to hit this guy, though, because, I mean, we're essentially trying to hit this guy with a giant snowball. It's both tricky and not tricky at the same time, I guess, because you have to kind of ram this guy with a big old snowball. But we hit him a few times, and you really not like ice cream, man. I was pretty fearful for my life at this point, because obviously I have very little health right now. And that was a little jerkish that the hammer could actually damage you. I thought I could have just touched it, but oh well. But yeah, we have our Grand Hammer now. It's pretty cool that extra mode does let us use the other two super abilities in this fight that we wouldn't have gotten a chance to use before. Magolor pops out of this one here. Yeah. Somehow that didn't count as hitting him for some reason. I'm not really sure why. That hammer should have smashed the rest of this freaking shield here. I don't care what anyone says. But God, this is one of my favorite songs that shouldn't be yawning right now, but this is seriously one of my favorite songs in this game, like, easily. And there he is. Bonk. Go to horny jail, Magolor. Ow. Alright, it's time. Got rid of his last piece there. When he's in the foreground, it's time for a sword clash! God, I still love that. That is such a sick finisher. But we know it's not over yet. We know it's not over yet. For its time. For Magolor's soul. This fight is, once again, very, very tough. I think I kind of just take the death here just because I was basically low on health. And because I also don't know if I've ever really seen that black hole attack before. For my rematch attempt, my life count's a little bit lower because I actually did die a couple of times to this guy, but I decided to do this with sand here just to get some practice in on True Arena, and yeah, this seems to be a pretty useful ability for this fight. He can't really attack sand with too much. The black hole attack can still hurt this ability though, so keep that in mind. To his half-health phase. This attack is garbage to dodge. He uses an icy grand hammer that freezes the ground, makes it all spikes, drops stalactites everywhere. Like, it's a bad attack to dodge. And then furthermore, the ground is ice for after this attack too. And then he does one big in the center sweep like that. That is a rotten attack to dodge. It is one of, like, the worst attacks in the game. Anyways, he's doing his flare beam shtick. It's 2 flare beam balls there. Really isn't too bad once you get past that, but I remember especially in the Wii version where, you know, I wasn't really using, like, the Leaf ability that much for this fight. I was using, like, Spark or Fighter. Dodging that, like, Ice Grand Hammer attack, that is, like, one of the hardest attacks to dodge. And it wouldn't be a fight if he didn't try and invert the screen. Thankfully, though, if you notice, I haven't taken any damage from this fight yet, though, which is a pretty good omen of things, if I do say so myself. He also... Oh, I showed this attack off here, because this is one of his sickest attacks. He basically shoots a laser through a portal there, and then uses multiple portals to fire that laser through. That is, like, one of the coolest attacks that he has there, and I'm glad he got a chance to finally show that off there. But he also dies to a freaking sandcastle. Good job, Magalore. You died to a sandcastle. So, most of the ending is more or less the same. I think kind of the CGI, or not CGI, but like the pre-rendered cutscenes are mostly the same, but there's some different ending screenshots here. I've kind of already gone into my thoughts on this a little bit. I can kind of sum up my thoughts on the project a little bit here, because I know we still have one more major video left, but I'm just gonna say spoiler alert, I've already recorded that video and I didn't really get a chance to do that in that one. I've had a lot of fun Let's Playing this game, though. This is, like, still one of my favorite games in the Kirby series. I'm really glad this got a Switch port, because it's still an awesome game. It still is. And... yeah, I think I was a little hesitant with this Let's Play at first, because... I don't know, I kind of felt like some mixed things when this remaster got announced. Like, I was kind of like, I was really excited, but I knew some people who weren't, and I was like, I don't want to be, like, I didn't want this just to be a very, like, slack job port or anything like that, and it's not. In my humble opinion, I don't think this was a bad port / remaster at all. Visually, I think this game still holds up really well, and I think the remastering and the art style looks even better than it did before. The Magalore epilogue I thought was actually quite a bit of fun. It's a little on the short side, but it's a good deviation on the formula, and kind of a good direction that I wouldn't mind seeing the series go if they ever made another 2D game. There goes saying, again a lot. Like, dude, could you cut that out, like, 8 years ago, man? But, no, this is a great game. This is a really great game. If you haven't played this game yet, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot at some point. It definitely has enough layers to keep you coming back to it. I've played through this game probably a good 8 or 9 times, if not more, counting like the extra mode playthroughs, and I never really get tired of this one. Even when playing through the extra mode, I was like talking with a friend on Discord at the time, and started just seeing NHL translation. I'm like, what, did the hockey team, the hockey organization? No, not what it means at all. But yeah, no, I was talking with a friend on Discord at the time, and like, I played through like most of the game pretty much kind of in one sitting. I think I played from like the start of like World 3 or 4 all the way to the end, I think it was from the start of World 4, I'm pretty sure that I played through it. Yeah. I'm really glad I got to finally play this one. It was a long time in the making, like, you know, almost as long as, like, this game took to make was as long as I've wanted to do this Let's Play, for example. Anyways, we got the Traitor Magalore mask, and the True Arena is now opened, which is going to be what we will cover next time. God help us all. Just kind of showing off a little bit of Merry Magaland here. Once you get past, I think, 50 sheets, you kind of have everything unlocked. This is all but one of the masks in the game, because you do get one of them for clearing True Arena. And, yeah. I already showed off most of the minigames. I show off kind of the achievements within the minigames here next time. But this is a really good, like, fan service of, like, a lot of the Kirby characters over the years. We got Rick and Pick. And Mine. And a lot of characters that you probably just forgot about. Dark Matter, Kawasaki, Mark's Soul, Galactic Nova. There's just a lot of great cameos celebrating all of the Kirby history. If you do something like this again, Hal or whoever, like, remember, you have the Kirby anime characters they should be brought sometime over to. But yeah, we have the Kirby 64 girls, good old Adeline and Ribbon, that Shadow Kirby, Dark Meta Knight. I don't know where that Dark Mirror Dark Meta Knight comes from, but that's pretty cool as well. We have Dracia and Daroch and Dark Nebula, just all characters from games I would have played growing up. Also, whenever I hear that, like, gooey Dark Matter form, like, sound, I always think it's like a Mario Party menu sound, because I'm pretty sure that same one's in that game. Anyways, we have all the normal and EX bosses here. Traitor Magalore, Magalore EX. We have Taranza, old friend Taranza, Queen Sectonia, the robot armor, Susie, weekend outfit, President Haltman, Francisca, Flamberge, Zan Partisan, Highness. And on the bottom here, if I can get down to it, we have Morpho Knight, the Cone Mouth, which I think is hilarious. We have an Awolfie, which is just adorable. Clawline. Forgo Dedede. Leongar. We have Little Elflin and Smiling Elflin. Interdimensional Magalore, which you get for clearing that epilogue. Park Staff Waddle-Dee and Manager Magalore. Manager Magalore, you have to clear all 100 missions in the Magalore like, the minigames. And for clearing all the challenge stages again, this is the extra mode 100% clears message. With all that being said, this was a long one. Next time is an even longer video because we are going through the true arena. It is by and far the longest video of this LP, and I hope you stay tuned. It's gonna be an epic one. I'll see you guys for that then. Peace out.